The room was silent, except for the gasps of the crowd. Sarah, a quiet woman in a plain dress, sat at the chessboard. The town's best players, smug and laughing, had challenged her to mock her. They thought she was just a baker, too simple to know chess. But when Sarah moved her first piece pawn to e4, their smirks vanished. Her hand was steady, her eyes sharp like a hawk. The board seemed to glow under her touch, and a strange chill filled the air. The top player, Marcus, froze, his confident grin fading. How did she know that move? Why did it feel so dangerous? The crowd leaned closer, hearts racing. What was Sarah about to do? The story rewinds to yesterday. Sarah lived in a small village, baking bread every morning. She was kind, always smiling, but people whispered she was too simple. Nobody knew her secret. Every night, after the bakery closed, Sarah studied an old, dusty chess book hidden under her bed. It wasn't just any book, it was her grandfather's, a chess master who taught her in secret before he passed away. Sarah loved chess but never told anyone. She was happy baking, living quietly. Then came the village fair. Marcus, the chess champion, bragged loudly, challenging anyone to a match. His friends laughed, pointing at Sarah. "Let's see the baker try," they jeered. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want attention, but their mocking words stung. "Okay," she said softly, her voice steady. The crowd snickered, expecting her to lose fast. They set up the board in the town hall, and whispers spread. Could Sarah even play? Nobody knew what was coming. Cliffhanger. As Sarah sat down, Marcus leaned forward, smirking. "You're going to regret this, baker girl." But when she looked up, her eyes sparkled with something fierce. What secret was Sarah hiding? Sarah's fierce look made Marcus blink, but he quickly laughed it off. "Let's make this quick," he said, moving his pawn to e5. The crowd chuckled, thinking Sarah was already doomed. She didn't flinch. Her fingers hovered over the board, calm and sure, like she'd done this 1,000 times. She moved her knight to f3, a bold choice that made a few villagers whisper. Marcus raised an eyebrow but kept his smug grin. "Lucky move," he muttered, pushing another pawn. Sarah's heart raced, but not from fear. She remembered her grandfather's words. Chess is a story. Tell it with courage. She glanced at the old chess book in her mind, its pages worn from years of study. Nobody knew she'd beaten every puzzle in it. The room grew tense as Sarah matched Marcus move for move. His friends stopped laughing. A woman in the crowd gasped when Sarah's bishop slid across the board, trapping Marcus's knight. How was she so good? Marcus's face turned red. He leaned closer, his voice low. "Who taught you to play, Baker?" Sarah just smiled, soft but sharp. The game was speeding up and Marcus was sweating. The villagers leaned in, eyes wide. Sarah wasn't just playing, she was commanding the board. But then, Marcus made a sneaky move, capturing Sarah's pawn. His friends cheered, thinking he'd won control. Sarah's smile faded for a moment. Had she made a mistake? Or was this part of her plan? The crowd held its breath, waiting for her next move. Cliffhanger. Sarah's hand paused over a piece, her eyes locked on Marcus. The room felt heavy, like a storm was coming. Then she whispered, "Your move was good, but mine's better." What was Sarah about? Unleash. Sarah's whisper hung in the air, and Marcus's smirk faltered. The crowd leaned forward, their eyes glued to the board. Sarah moved her queen to h5, a daring attack that made Marcus's jaw drop. It was a move from her grandfather's book, one she'd practiced for years. The board was no longer just a game, it was her battlefield. Marcus scrambled, pushing a knight to block her, but his hand shook. "She's just a baker," his friend hissed, but doubt crept into his voice. Sarah's eyes sparkled with focus, like she saw every move before it happened. She slid her bishop to c4, setting up a trap so clever it made the crowd gasp. Marcus didn't see it coming. The room buzzed with whispers. How does she know this? Is she winning? Sarah's heart pounded, but she stayed calm, remembering her grandfather's lessons. Patience wins wars. Marcus, red-faced, made a desperate move, thinking he'd outsmart her. But Sarah's trap was ready. She moved her knight, and Marcus's king was cornered. His friends went silent. The villagers cheered, shocked by Sarah's skill. Marcus stared at the board, his confidence gone. This can't be, he muttered. Sarah leaned back, her smile small but fierce. She hadn't just played, she'd outplayed him. Cliffhanger. As Marcus stared, sweating, Sarah's next move loomed. The crowd held its breath, sensing something huge. Then Sarah reached for a piece, her voice soft but chilling. Check. Could Marcus escape? Or was Sarah about to end the game? Sarah's check echoed like thunder. Marcus's eyes widened, his fingers trembling over the board. The crowd was on edge, some standing to see better. He moved his king one space, the only move he had. Sarah's face stayed calm, but inside, her heart soared. She saw the endgame, just like her grandfather taught her. She moved her queen to f3, tightening the trap. Marcus's friends groaned, realizing he was cornered. The villagers, who once laughed at Sarah, now cheered her name. Go, Sarah! A child shouted, waving a tiny fist. Sarah glanced up, her shy smile warming the room. For a moment, she wasn't just a baker, she was a hero. Marcus slammed a pawn forward, desperate to break free. His voice cracked. You can't win. But Sarah's next move was ready. She slid her rook to Ione, pinning his king. The crowd gasped, then roared. Marcus's face turned pale. He whispered, How? Sarah's eyes met his, kind but firm. I listened to someone wiser than me, she said, thinking of her grandfather. The game was almost over, but Marcus wasn't giving up. He leaned forward, plotting one last trick. The tension grew thick, everyone wondering if he could turn it around. Cliffhanger. Marcus's hand hovered over a bishop, a sly grin creeping back. Not done yet, he growled. Sarah's smile didn't waver, but her eyes narrowed. Had Marcus found a way out, or was Sarah one step ahead? Marcus's sly grin faded as he moved his bishop, thinking he'd found a way to escape Sarah's trap. The crowd held its breath, eyes darting between the players. Sarah stayed calm, her mind racing through her grandfather's strategies. She saw it Marcus's mistake. With a steady hand, she moved her queen to g3, declaring, checkmate. The room erupted in cheers. Marcus stared at the board, stunned, his bishop useless. His friends slumped, speechless, while the villagers chanted Sarah's name. The baker they mocked had outsmarted the champion. Sarah stood, smiling softly, and said, Chess is about heart, not pride. Marcus, humbled, shook her hand, muttering, You're incredible. The crowd swarmed Sarah, lifting her up as their hero. Her secret was out. She was no ordinary baker. Cliffhanger. As Sarah left the hall, an old man in the shadows watched, holding a chess piece. She's ready, he whispered.